Hi guys, this is a quick tutorial to show you how to calculate different things about waves. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the equation. It's called the wave equation, and it has three parts. You've got velocity, which we measure in meters per second. Remember, that's the same thing as speed. And we have frequency, which is measured in units called hertz. Hz is how that's abbreviated. It's Hertz is how it's spelled out, actually. Like so. Like so. I have to turn the pen on before I can write. Hertz. There you go. And remember, speed is pretty much the same thing as velocity, except, I hope you remember, velocity includes direction. But when you're not worried about direction, the two words are kind of interchangeable. So speed and velocity you can think of as mostly the same thing. And then this weird symbol here is for the wavelength. That's just a distance. That's how wide your wave is, and it's measured in meters. So just let's quickly review the difference between frequency and speed or velocity. So here's frequency. Frequency is basically the number of crests that pass by a certain point in a certain amount of time. So if you have a bunch of waves going by, transverse waves like so, this would be, if this is where you're standing, right here, how many of these crests hit you in a certain amount of time, or how frequently you get hit with waves. We measure frequency in what are called cycles per unit of time, or crests per unit of time. So if you want to find the frequency from, for example, this information, we've got 10 waves passing by in 2 seconds. You would say that the frequency of that is 5, sort of crests per second, but we just call that 5 hertz, capital H, lowercase z. That's the units for frequency that we're going to use. Okay, so now let's try a problem. So we've got a wave that has a frequency of 50 hertz and a wavelength of 10 meters. What's its speed? Well, you'd have to plug in the formula. So the formula says that the velocity is equal to the frequency times the wavelength. Now, the wavelength symbol is a little bit weird. Basically, you want to draw it like, kind of like this is how I do it. I just do a little squiggle, like a backward S, and then I add the line in like that. If that freaks you out, you can kind of do it like this, just a straight line and another line like that, kind of like a triangle with a little added piece on the end, like right up here, extra added piece up there. Okay, so now we're going to plug our information in. So we're looking for velocity. We know the frequency, which is 50. Don't forget, you should always plug in your units. So we're going to put the hertz in there, capital H, little z. And our wavelength is 10. So I'm just multiplying 50 times 10 is basically what I'm doing. Really easy. When I do that, I'm going to get 500. My velocity is 500, but 500 what? Right? It looks like 500 hertz meters, but if you were to make hertz, if you were to expand the hertz units out, you'd find that that's cycles per second. So, and the cycles are not included because they're not really units, they're just the number of things that are happening. So the units become meters per second, which is what we're familiar with using for velocity. So the wave is moving at a speed or a velocity of 500 meters per second. And here it is typed out for you because I'm not sure you can read my handwriting, right? So, and you can see when it's typed. This little symbol here too, the wavelength symbol, that's the Greek letter lambda. At least that's what I think it is, lambda. I think it's like the Greek, and the Greek alphabet it's the L. And one last point. If you are in algebra, you are familiar with how to rearrange a formula by sort of dividing to get the symbol you want by itself on one side, or multiplying if necessary. But if you're not in algebra, that's not a skill that you're very good at. So what I've done is I've provided you with the formula already rearranged, and I'm more than happy to do that for you. So I'll provide the formula rearranged so that it's easy for you to solve for any of these, velocity, frequency, or, and remember, this stands for wavelength. So the best thing you can do now is just practice. So go ahead and try out the practice problems and submit them. Please don't cheat. It does not help you to have somebody else do the problems for you. If you don't learn how to do it yourself, you won't be able to do it on your quiz tomorrow. So practice, get good at it, and I will see you when I get back.